Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft, and joining me as always, my esteemed co-host and father of BB8, BB7 himself. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Seth Martin.
Oh, this is my yearbook smile. Do you like it?
Do you do that every year? Do you have like a yearbook annual tradition?
No, I should make one though. I should. Just not brave enough.
That smile should be it.
It's a smile for the audio listeners out there. Working on getting those downloads up.
There you go. How you doing, my friend? How's your week going?
Doing well. I just wrapped up my summer class stuff, so now I truly have the summer to like veg out a little bit more. Just regular old house stuff, dad stuff. Other than that, been working on some games, getting ready for Death Stranding coming out here. It's already out for some. I'm getting it Thursday, and I'm still behind on my backlog of games to play. So, whatever. You win some, you lose some.
How are people getting it early? Is it one of those like pre-order?
Yeah, I think so. Like if you'd got the digital deluxe or something like that, or the collector's editions, you get it a couple of days early. I'm not usually about that. Something like Death Stranding, I can wait on. I don't need to pay the extra bucks to get in early.
Yeah. I really only do like the digital deluxe on like Madden or NCAA or something like that, where I mean, even with that, that's just impatience or whatever. But I guess like Destiny, we paid for early access, I think.
Did we?
Trying to
I
think, did
don't.
we?
No, we got that. We were there at midnight
That's right.
launch the
Yeah,
first day of
we did the like early access beta thing for pre-ordering. I don't think they did
Played
like a
until the
3 day.
fucking sun came up, baby.
Dude,
But anyway,
that was back when gaming
can't,
was just
can't
amazing.
do that anymore.
You
Yeah.
know, like midnight releases were so cool. I saw the pictures coming in from like Nintendo Switch 2 release, like people lining up at GameStops and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think I have a lot more nostalgia for midnight releases than I have actual interest in going to a midnight release.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I have. And also, when you said game, like those are the days of gaming, and that was also the time where like every game that shipped was broken at launch, and you had to like. I'm sure some people aren't even aware that was a thing, but there was a time where your game would ship and be unplayable for days because they just hadn't patched something well enough, and you would just kind of have to sit on your brand new game for like a week, and it happened all the time. But anyway,
Dude,
whatever,
it was
past
Destiny
the past.
the midnight release that we went to, and the guy out there was like, "Are y'all ready to go to war?" And we all thought he was like
Yeah,
trying to get us hyped up about the game, and we were like, "Yeah!" And but it turned out he really like had no idea that we were there for a midnight release. He just was trying to get us hyped up for like the end time Armageddon.
yeah, he was just walking by, which is weird because it wasn't like a walking area of town. We're like at a strip mall
Yeah,
by a Walmart, no sidewalks around. He was just walking. He
yeah.
was, and he was talking about going to war with Iran. I think. Ironic. Today of all days, we're bringing that back up, but whatever.
He maybe he was a prophet. Who knows?
Yeah,
As you can
one of those
tell,
guys.
what's that?
One of those guys.
Yeah. As you can tell, I am in the full throes of my move. We move in 2 days, so my house is just boxes and boxes everywhere. But yeah, I'm getting excited. We'll be this time next week. We will be on the East Coast. But with that said, this week, normal episode. The episode that you are listening to right now will be normal. We have a topic, we have news, we're going to go over comments, all that sort of stuff. But next week's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to hop in the time machine, and we're actually going to be recording next week's episode right after we get done recording this one. And it's going to be all about you guys' Marvel Rivals hot takes. So we won't be talking about news the week after this one. And then we might have a week off between that. It's just going to depend on when my stuff gets to North Carolina, if I'll have my computer and all that. So stay tuned. We'll let you guys know. But
You taking that big ass whiteboard with you to North Carolina?
yeah, man, it's going to be in the truck. So
Okay. And you guys driving this truck?
no, we hired people to drive the truck.
Use some of that. Use some of that California money. Put it
Yeah.
to good work.
Nah, dude, I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm just paying people to move me. I will pack the boxes and then somebody else can take it from there. So, but this is Rival Banter. We get together every week over here on twitch.tv/itishoagie and talk about all things Marvel Rivals. And then we push it out on podcast services and YouTube the very next day. And wherever you're listening to us, we thank you and we love you. Make sure you're following us, leaving a comment and hitting that like button. And we might respond to your comments like we're going to do here in just a few moments. Yeah, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so over on Instagram and TikTok at Rival Banter. And we pull from all of those places to get your comments and read those comments. Just like we're going to read Ringo Hardy 2834's comment over on YouTube. This was in response to us talking about how we sometimes worry that rivals might be going too hard, too fast on content releases. He says it's going to be a while before they run out of material to work with. Marvel has been going for decades, almost 100 years. There's so many interesting ways they can make play styles. There are probably over 50 characters. A lot of people want to see if it spends a few minutes thinking about it, whereas they have teams of people thinking about this and developing them as a job. Not saying they'll run out, but it takes a few years before that happens. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of in response. I was talking about my greatest fear last week, and not really, but like as far as this game goes, I just have this kind of irrational fear that they will just stop supporting the game or run out and be like, well, that's it, boys, we're done. I know that's not very likely to happen. And yeah, if it did, it would take a few years. It's just kind of one of those things. Like I love this thing so much. It's like I've never again had that game before that I just come back to over and over and over again. It's been going, nigh on half a year now, a little over half a year now. And I have no desire to stop playing. So it's one of those things. I'm attached to it. I'm gonna I don't know. I don't smoke weed, but I'm gonna have to just light up a blunt, take a day off work one day. I'm not doing that work, in case you're listening out there. And just grieve or something like that. Just take it some time to grieve if Marvel Rivals ever disappears from my world. But is what it is.
Deontay also responds to that idea and says, I don't think they'll have to worry about running out of content anytime soon, so much source material to pull from. I think the devs are actually going to have to find a way to cycle characters and maps in and out as to not overload us. Now, this was a sentiment I saw a couple times. And look, I agree that there's a lot of source material to pull from. I'm less concerned about them having things to pull from and more about how they're going to differentiate from the people that they pull from, right?
Yeah, and I think that's something we've kind of mentioned before too. Is you have how many different Hulk characters, how many different Captain Americas or variants of Captain America. You kind of get repetitive after a while. So yeah, those, like you said, those big Marvel posters you can buy at Hobby Lobby or whatever. They have hundreds of characters on there. But if you think about it, you kind of get the same character, just copy pasted with a different name. Maybe they're a little skinnier or larger than the other character they're based on, but yeah, I just don't want it to get too samey. And I'm sure there is I think it was, yeah, like Ringo said before, um there are ways to, I'm sure, differentiate some of those characters. And I don't know, somebody else, I think it's Jaden, the next guy. You want me to go ahead and read
Yeah,
that one?
go for it.
All right, well, Jaden. What if they are overpopulating the game on purpose? It's Jaden Armstrong, by the way. So in a year or so, they can introduce Thanos and wipe half the roster. I feel like that's a hot take for the next episode. They can overhaul a bunch of characters and rework most of the characters at once, or introduce variants of the characters to have slightly different abilities. I kind of like that idea. I feel like that goes along with what we've said before, what we just mentioned about having the same character kind of repeated. Like, for example, Emma Frost. I don't think anybody imagined when they first started getting whispers of her being in the game that she was going to be a tank, because canonically she doesn't really look like a tank. They just kind of made her one. So I like this idea. They've shown that they can be creative with what characters can do, how they look, how they act. And yeah, I'm definitely. I think Jaden's onto something there. I feel like Thanos probably isn't. I don't know. How would you feel, Luke, if they wiped if they took Crystal Mommy out of the game for lore reasons for a while.
Yeah, I just don't think you can do that. I was going to say this also about Deontay's comment about, figuring out a way to like cycle characters in and out, right? Like, I think there's too many people that have one tricks, and even if you're not a one trick, you have characters that you main, and I just don't think you can come up with a system where whole characters are just taken out of the game for extended periods of time.
And on top of that too, a game like this, like think about how much money people spend on their skins and their
Yeah.
cosmetics too, right? Like I would be furious if I have 10 Thor skins, not four skins, but Thor skins. And they I couldn't use them for a while. Like they just disappear. That's kind of a part of a bigger conversation about licensing and stuff like that. In case you didn't know, people, you don't own your audiobooks and your MP3 music you bought on iTunes 20 years ago. It all goes away when you die. You can't leave it to your children. But same kind of thing with these skins and stuff. You just kind of don't like. I would be furious if they were inaccessible to me for a while.
Hmm.
Like I don't feel like they could logically do this. Has any other game with a roster situation kind of like this done something like that before?
Not that I know of. I mean, and if anyone listening knows of a game that's done something like that, I'm curious. I think also we talk a lot about how being tied to the Marvel universe is a benefit of Marvel Rivals, and I definitely think that that's true, because there's a lot of familiarity with these characters, and there's so much just like instant recognition when you're advertising and stuff. But in some ways, it's kind of limiting, right? Because if you want to add characters to this game, you have to find the character within the universe to attach that idea to. So if you want this kind of a character with these kinds of abilities, you need to find that character. Whereas if it's League of Legends, if it's Overwatch, if it's one of these other universes, you can just create that character from scratch. And so uh that was just something I was kind of thinking of as we were reading these, is like we talk so much about the boon of being attached to this franchise, but in some ways it's limiting, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree.
So, but yeah, if you guys in the comments know of a game that is limited previously owned characters, or and I'm not just talking, obviously games have done like reworks, but they've never just like straight up taken characters out. I don't think that I can
Like
think of.
killed them in the lore and they're inaccessible until they magically come back or something like that, or they never come back. I don't know. Like is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, Seth, our audience had a lot to say about anti-heal. Have you kept up on TikTok with our two latest videos about anti-heal?
I have not. I just recently got around myself to starting to like our own videos, so that I'm catching up with the people out there. What's been going on?
Let me actually pull it up and tell you how many comments we've got on these these two videos so far.
Okay, you want
Um,
me to read anything while you're popping those out
yeah, go ahead
while
and
you're looking
read
them
the first one for me.
up? Okay, I'm also can't seem to get my glasses clean to save
Actually,
all of them.
I'll just tell you right now, we have
All right,
165 comments on the two videos that we've posted about
good,
anti-heal. So
googly moogly.
people have a lot of thoughts. We are going to read all 165 of those comments now.
I don't
Comment
think
number
we
one.
are.
No,
Here
I'm
we
just
go.
kidding. All right. The first comment here, I'll read this first one, is from I'm Keaton. He says an anti-heal ability that's not super punishing to tank players has to be tied to a grab. For instance, one of Blade's abilities could be a bite, and he has to put himself at risk to get it off.
I love that idea. I like you keyed in. Yeah, like that makes sense, right? Like number one, it makes sense with the character. It's true to who that character is. It's unique to that character. He's a vampire. Well, he's a daywalker or whatever, half vampire or something. He's got to get in there. He's got to get that bite in, and he has to put himself at risk too, in order to pull off that move, which can be rewarding, but you could also botch it pretty easily too, right? If you're not situationally aware. So I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, there were actually a number of really good ideas in the comments, and I didn't get all of them in to the show notes here. There were other people who talked about how anti-heal should be able to be like universally cleansed by uh just healing through it. So sort of like how you can break a shield by doing enough damage to it, you should be able to break the anti-heal by healing through it. And I thought that was a really cool idea, but I love this idea because if you think about like Emma Frost grab, you get a benefit from that grab because it makes the player you're grabbing stationary, and your team can focus fire on that person. But you also put yourself in danger because you can't do any additional inputs or move while you go through that animation. So you're a sitting duck. So if you're like a blade character, right, and you have to go through this animation in order to bite the character that you're going to mark and put this anti-heal on, that gives players an opportunity to turn and kill you. And then it would be cool if like, okay, if we kill the blade, that automatically cleanses the anti-heal as well. I'm still not totally sold on an anti-heal being added to the game, but if this is the way that they decided to do it, I'd be a little less mad about it.
Yeah, those are some cool balance ideas. I dig them.
All right, why don't you read this one from Zach for us?
Zach or Zach, whoever you are. I'm sure it's Zach. Honestly, if there is an anti-heal ult, I see no issue with it. It's not fun to play into, and that's in quotation marks. Yeah, neither is 24 seconds of invincibility when a team is running Loki Luna, like Loki Luna together, I'm guessing, or Loki or Luna.
Loki and Luna, I think is what he's saying,
Okay.
because when you combine the two ults, you get 24 seconds of invincibility.
Gotcha. So, okay. Yeah, I mean that's definitely kind of a hard counter to those kinds of situations, right? Everybody wants to complain about Luna, just dancing her ass around the point, for feels like 2 minutes or something like that, right? I don't know. What do you think?
I get the sentiment, right? Like, hey, there's this thing that's in the game that is already not fun to play into. The thing to counter that is not let's add in another mechanic that's not fun to play to play into. Like I don't think that's good game design. Like, plus there are things in the game already that you can counter um Luna's ult with, right? Like you can knock down her over health and then like hit her with the Magneto ult, or you can Scarlet Witch ult, or like you can one shot her with like an Iron Man ult or something like that when she's in her ult. So there's other things that you can do as counterplay. If you're wanting to tie anti-heal to an ult, there are other ults in the game that can counter a Loki Luna combo.
I don't know. Like the more I feel like I was pretty opposed to it at first, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, well, I almost like, it kind of maybe it's a cool way to evolve the game a little bit. Maybe, it's just another way to spice things up or add, like you've got a number. Yeah, you can counter those ults with Iron Man or whoever, but usually they're linked to something like your aim. Like if your aim was a little bit off, you might not be able to pop it off. Maybe they can get behind cover or something. So this is just kind of another way to do that. I'm not sure that I'm as against it now as I was maybe when we first brought it up, but I don't know. Again, remains to be seen.
I think the other thing is just adding in something to counterplay one specific like permutation of a like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like one permutation of a composition or something like that is weird, because it's like, okay, if this anti-heal ult is being played when Loki Luna isn't out there, right? How much more oppressive is it into a comp that doesn't have invincibility ults? What if I'm playing into like an Adam Warlock Cloak and Dagger kind of comp or something like that. Something that's not as I know that's not as traditional and like high elo play or whatever, but you got to think about these things across uh, all ranks. So I don't think when you're sitting down designing a game, and this was the problem with Ana, right? Was like Ana was introduced in what, 2017 or whatever. and it became such a must pick character in the meta that they were like, okay, well now we need something that can counter this. So they made Kiriko, who had a cleanse on cooldown, and it was like, okay, now you have to pick this character into an Ana. But now if Ana's not getting played, this cleanse is pretty OP into everything else, right? So I don't know. Balancing games is hard, and I'm glad I'm not paid to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a math guy anyway, so rock beats paper. No, it doesn't. See?
Damn it. How do we buff rock? Then Booth the Truth says, dude says like too damn much about me. And I replied to this comment and said like on TikTok as well. So
that's cold.
Sorry about that, Booth. I'll try harder next time. So, all right, Seth, what'd you get up to this week in game?
More challenges, working my way. I think I'm pretty up to date. I think I've checked in every day enough to escalate my my bundle, my whatever this bundle is called, with pink venom, bubblegum venom, or whatever.
The venom bubble pop.
The venom bubble pop, yeah. I'm getting there. I think I've got two more tiers, 2 levels left to go. Just been playing, just loving the quick play life. I am just checking in for a while each day, having a blast. I'm excited to talk about our hot takes, because I think I've got a couple that'll play into that conversation, how we've kind of been leaning into quick play a little bit more the last few weeks or so. But yeah, overall, just having fun. I watched a lot more Ignite this week as well, so tuned into Twitch some. I think I'm digging the new format a little bit more too. Now that they've kind of made some changes, we finally got an extra song in there. So they may repeat the same 2 songs over and over again, but it's something. Maybe here in a few months we'll get a third song somewhere in there. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm still loving every minute of it. What about you, Luke?
Let's see, what did I do? I am also at the same place you are in my Venom Bubble Pop event. I don't know, something clicked within me this week, and I've become a challenge chaser. And I've been on my mission sheet and just like playing random people. I started playing a lot of Thing over the last few days and having a blast, dude. Like,
he's so much fun.
But I also there's no character I switch off of faster than Thing. Just because there's stuff he does not play into well
That's
at
true.
all.
That's true. And it when you're there. Like I feel like with him, if you've got the heals, you can almost do anything. But if your healer is struggling the least little bit, you might as well jump off Thing, because he just soaks up that damage, and he can't. He can get away in some situations, but you've got to play it just right. You've got to know his leap back distance with his left bumper, whatever, or whichever button that is on your mouse and keyboard. So yeah, I love him, but yeah, he definitely doesn't play into every situation for sure.
Yeah, like if there's a bunch of flyers out there, I'm probably switching. If they're running like 3 DPS, I'm probably switching. Like, and some of that'll probably change the more I play him, because these are probably the first few games I played this Thing. But I had that Future Foundation skin. I had like 3 missions this Thing that I needed to do, so started playing a lot more Thing. What's that?
Might as well, yeah. At that point, are you talking missions like for your battle pass? Your okay. Yeah. Have you worked on the achievements anymore? Like, did you realize that you get units for doing a lot of those if you haven't done a ton of them?
Yeah. I know you get some, and I feel like I've got most of the non-DPS ones.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too. I think I've got like 7 left, and they're all people that I just never play as, like Psylocke or Namor, or a few people like that.
Yeah, when you platinum the game, I think I was like, okay, I think I might try to get some, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to do this Black Panther one, and I played 2 games as Black Panther, and I think I got flamed both games, and I was like, all right, I think I'll leave the platinuming of Marvel Rivals to Seth.
You just got to stick with it, Like I definitely got discouraged a few times. It's not a hard platinum, but you do have to stick with those characters until you learn them just well enough. You don't have to master them at all. Like I didn't get past Agent with almost any of those DPS characters, and I still was able to get their trophies. So nothing too bad.
All right, Seth, you ready to jump into the news?
Let's sleep.
All right, well, let's start this week off like we start every week off with the brand new skins, and we've got a new Thor skin and a new Punisher skin coming to the game. The Majestic Raiment and the Daredevil Born Again skin for the Punisher coming this week. Any of these tickling your fancy there, Seth?
Like I saw the screenshot, like the still shot of this new Thor skin, the Majestic Raiment, and I was like, that's fine. And I kind of thought of it more like it kind of reminds me of that Captain America Gladiator skin. And then the more I looked into it and I saw a video later on, and apparently it's part of the Hellfire. Like the first appearance in the comics is from Hellfire Gala. So like I saw the bottom half and he's got these kind of flowy pants and no shoes on. Kind of looks badass, like in kind of a kooky weird way. Like once I saw the full picture, saw the kind of rainbow sash or whatever that piece is there, kind of sold me on it. So I don't think I'm gonna buy it necessarily right now, but it's something I'll keep my eye on if there's ever like a costume token way to get it, or if I just have some extra units burning a hole in my pocket, then that's probably on my agenda. I like it a lot. The Punisher skin is cool. I feel like it's hard to do a lot with the Punisher. Like he wears a lot of black and gray, or just black. You've got the skull on there. This like if you put this side by side with his regular skin, I feel like it's the exact same thing, except he's younger in this one. So I don't a little less scarred up on the face, maybe, but yeah, this looks good. I don't think I would buy it, but I do like the appeal.
Did you see the comparison on Reddit of the like default skin to this skin for the Punisher?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But I feel
It's
like that's exactly what I'm saying, isn't it?
yeah, it's very, very close. I mean, he's got like longer sleeves in the new skin, and he doesn't have face paint. His hair's spiked up, and there's a little bit of orange on his default skin. But yeah, it's very close. So but the video for the Thor skin I think does a lot more justice than the screenshot. We were playing that while you were talking about it, but the grippers being out is a little crazy. Seth, you're a high school teacher. Do you ever wear flip
More
flops
or
to
less.
huh?
More or less, yeah.
You ever wear flip
No,
flops to school, and do you get flamed for it now?
I definitely. So this is one of those things I've noticed because like I like a good sandal. When I go to the beach, I'm wearing like my slides with the no socks on. I've got some chacos that I don't wear as much as I probably should have to have paid as much for them, but whatever. Um, it's just kind of a situational thing, I like a good flip flop. Women, I'm not saying anything against women. I promise. I
All right, we're
swear.
off to a good start.
But this is one of those things where like I've just observed it in the workplace in education, that women wear a lot of open-toed shoes, and that's fine. But like when I see, and this is I'm kind of more of throwing shade against men here, if I'm being honest, because I'm every once in a while I'm like, like I think it would feel so good, so freeing to wear my chacos to school. Like I'll see another like a psychology teacher wearing her chacos, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. I should try it. But then I'm like, I've seen teachers, I don't think we're supposed to, if that makes sense. It's one of those things like you're supposed to be wearing like kind of dressier shoes. They finally started letting us wear jeans in our school
Mm.
districts. Um, but you're supposed to be wearing like, decent shoes, like you're still being presentable. You can't have holes all over the place or whatever in your professional attire. But I see men like on work days wear their open toed, like their sandals. And I'm like, that's probably why we don't do that because men have some ugly feet. I think
Mhm.
my feet are pretty good looking. I won't show the internet. I
I
won't
was
show
gonna
you.
say, like, why don't you put them up? Let's see them.
I've been put these tootsies up here. I've been told I have, fair feet for a male, but like I've seen some gnarled ass, like knuckly, those toes that kind of like bend in different directions, and like they look like the roots of an old willow tree. I don't know. That probably got so far away from your point. What the hell were you trying to
Well, no,
say?
I was just saying, like, my wife will sometimes wear like flip flops to work, and she gets like roasted by elementary school kids. They're like, the dogs are out, like, you
Yeah,
know.
I can't imagine, like, if I were to do it again, like, I'm probably gonna look fine, my nails are clipped and stuff. Um, I don't know. It's not something I don't think I have the self-confidence to expose myself that way
I was gonna say, I
in
don't
front
have the
of
self
big.
esteem to be around children. Kids are just mean, man.
Yeah, I am. I was teaching Romeo and Juliet, or a few months ago during this past semester, and, I showed a picture of Shakespeare, and this girl was like, "You look like him," and I was like, she goes, "It's the forehead," and of course, like, he's got the big ass, stiff head going on. Like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, whatever. I've mated now. Like I know I'm all right. And like other people around the room were like, "She said that. I can't believe she said that." I'm just, it is what it is. But
Yeah. See, now I just would never recover. I'd have to resign.
you gotta like let a little part of yourself die to work in education. I think in order to like you've gotta let a little part of your dignity go. But it's fine. I'm fine.
But yeah, you'll be able to see Thor's dogs out in this new skin
That's that's where we were going with that. Okay.
if you get it. The dogs are coming out. There not a lot of feet in Marvel Rivals, I don't believe. So
There
you know,
really are now that you mention it. Are they? Are there? Jeff the land shark?
I guess maybe.
Like,
Yep.
and they just put, you can get shoes for him for, well, I
Yeah.
guess if you, depending on the skin, or,
The
like that
emote. Yeah.
emote with the big shoes. Yeah. Kitten mittens.
We got a new patch coming out this week as well. Not a whole lot in this patch. Excuse me. Um, but the skins are being added to the store, and then we have uh a reduction of the number of votes that are going to be required to surrender. So this is how the new chart goes. So if you have 6 people on your team, it's only going to require 5 votes. 5 people, 4 votes. 4 people, 3 votes. Three people, 3 votes. 2 people, 2 votes. So that is the new surrendering model. What do you think of that, Seth?
At first, I was kind of like, "Whoa," but the more I chew on it, I'm kind of in line with it. Like, I'm just thinking of every time that I've been in a situation where I want to surrender. Usually, I'm the last person that would want to surrender. I want to just feel like you might as well stick it out till the end. But I feel like a lot of the times there's that one person who just is trolling, like that just refuses to quit on purpose. And like they're still throwing, they're just trying to waste your time. And so I like the idea, and I like how it kind of trickles down to, so like your 4, 5, and 6 team sizes, you just have to have a majority, like, or a little, kind of a high majority for 6, I guess. But you've got to have at least 5 or 4 or 3, one less than the full
Mm-hmm.
team that you have, right? And then when you get down, like if you have a team size of 3 or 2, yeah, it probably should be unanimous, but because like there are just 3 of you, you're not winning that game, right? Or
Yeah.
just 2, like you might as well call it quits. So it should be a little easier to get those votes. I'm down with it.
Yeah, I think if you have a team of 2 people in a rank game and one person is refusing to surrender, I think you're legally allowed to swat that person.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I do kind of I do like the change because of exactly what you said. I wish it was a little bit more tied to like time in the game. So it's like if you still only with the full size team. I think if somebody quits, let's go to this whole like if 4 people vote, it's done. Because like if you lose a team member, it's likely over. But if you have a full team of 6, I think the surrender should go in the first half of the second round. You need the full team, but in the second half of that round, you can go to this reduced number, right? Because how many times have we been at a game where it's like everybody wants to just surrender because the team like finished the map uh on like a convoy map or something like that. And it's like they finished with no time in the bank, but just because they finished the map, it's like, oh, just surrender, man. Game's over. It's like, no, dude, just play it out. And then you play it out, and it's like, oh shit, we finished with time in the bank. Uh, so yeah, I wish it was all 6 for the first half of the second round, and then it drops down if like, okay, we lost the first 2 team fights. There's no hope.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That's all the news, Seth. Not a whole lot going on this week, unless let me just click on this subreddit real quick to make sure I didn't miss anything. If they released any other patch notes or news,
I think we're pretty good. They had a few bug fixes and tweaks, stuff like that. But
yeah, and I know they did some like driver updates and stuff like that for PC users, but yeah, no other news for the week. So let's jump into our topic, Seth. We're not going to do a full tier list for season 2.5. We'll get back to our full tier list in season 3. But I do want us to talk a little bit about what we're seeing. We played a lot of quick play. We've played some ranked. And I just want to talk about who we kind of personally are feeling are the best heroes in season 2.5, who we think are the worst heroes in season 2.5, who we think is staged for the biggest for the changes coming in going into season 3. So how do you want to take this? We just kind of want to go roll by roll, or what you want to do?
yeah, we can go. Let's go roll by roll. Are we doing like everybody, or do you just want
No.
to kind of hit a couple names?
Yeah, let's just hit a couple
each?
names for best and worst.
Sounds good. What do you think? Let's start. You want to start support? Just top of the wheel.
Yeah. Let's go strategist. That sounds good to me.
Okay. So best. This is going to go in with one of my hot. I don't want to spoil one of my hot takes for next week, but I'm definitely working on this theory about Jeff and how wonderful he is. So I'm going to go, and I'm trying not to be biased because I've been playing a lot of Jeff, but I think that Jeff is one of the best, if not the best, strategist that we have in the meta right now. So I'm going Jeff at the top of the list. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Jeff situationally, I don't know how well rounded he is. I think his ult leaves a little bit to be desired, especially when you're playing in a 2 support comp, just because when you ult, you take your heals out of the fight. And especially as a tank, a lot of times that feels kind of bad because I'm like, oh shit, like where's the pee on me, shark man?
Yeah, true, true. But if you're communicating with your other, if you've at least got that other healer or two,
Yeah.
hopefully they can pick up some of the slack. And as long as you're maybe communicating that you're about to ult or something like that. But yeah, I definitely get that. It's also, like we've said before, a hard ult to pull off in this day and age. After Jeff's been around for a while, people know the tells.
Mm-hmm. But I think in terms of like, especially when he's got the team up with Storm out there, I think the value that you get out of him is really good.
Yeah, that Venom team up is pretty huge too now. Like where you can kind of share. You've almost got like a soul bond situation with him now too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and of course you've got like um, the Groot team up too. Who else can he ride on? Was it Hulk?
uh, no, not Hulk. It's shit. Who else can he ride on? Hold on, let me scroll up here and look. I've got my characters here.
Okay, okay.
Wait, maybe it is Hulk.
Or is it Thing? No, maybe it's just Groot.
I think it is just it is just Groot. It's because it was
Okay.
Groot and Rocket that could. I mean, it was Jeff and Rocket that could ride on
That's
Groot.
what I'm thinking. Both of the my bad. It's
Yeah.
late over here, this side of the world.
Yeah, and I think Rocket is one of the other really good strategists right now. right? Like,
Yeah. I've long ago lost any shade that I had for Rocket, like in season 0. He's all in now. So, and I think people have kind of learned to balance him a little bit more too, where they can deal some damage and they can utilize those supports. And the balance changes that they've done for season 2 and 2.5, I think, have worked wonders for him too.
yeah, for the first time in a long time, I played with a no damage rocket. I think last night, and I was like, "Wow, this feels just as bad as it's always felt," but I haven't felt it in a long time. But yeah, him with it, especially like with his penny team up, and his like empowered resurrection beacon or whatever, it feels really good. His ultimate is great now. Like all around, he feels awesome. The staples, Invisible Woman and Luna, are still right on up there, as well as Loki. Where do you? I guess we're kind of talking about every strategist right here, but we have to talk about Ultron, right? Because he's new to season 2.5. Like, how do you feel about Ultron now that we've had a few weeks to kind of play around with him and against him and with him on our team?
So I don't feel like I haven't seen him done so well that like he's a must have. Like I still wouldn't put him up there with some of your heavy hitters. But I mean, he's definitely solid, and I think as people have learned to play him more and kind of like they know how to use his abilities, he uses a drone. If you've got a team that sticks together and can kind of like utilize or execute just a sensible formation. If most of your team has just logical game sense, then you can do a lot of work with Ultron. So yeah, I don't think he's S tier or anything like that necessarily, but I at least high B, low A, something like that.
Yeah, I think he's definitely very situational. I think he obviously works in a lot of like three strategists comps and stuff like that. I'm going to say this about Ultron though. Ultron has the most interesting ultimate in the game, I think. Um, Mostly because of the decision making that you have to do with it. Because you can choose what do you want to use it to do a bunch of burst healing for your team that's like caught in a Groot ult? Do you want to use it offensively to deal a bunch of damage? Like you have to. It's not it's not mindless like a Luna ult where you like hear a duelist ult from the other team and you just pop your ult and start shaking ass, right? Like
Hmm.
Ultron, I think, has one of the most interesting ultimates in the game, um, because of all of the different applications that it can have. But I think the rest of his kit leaves a little bit to be desired. I think he depends pretty heavily on his Iron Man team up as well. Um, and I think he is heavily empowered by having two other strategists playing alongside of him. So I'm interested to see what changes he might get going into season 3 that might make him more viable as a 2-2-2 strategist. But I feel like with his kit, any benefit that he would get that would make him viable in 2-2-2 is just going to make three strategist comps all that more annoying to play against.
Yeah.
Who do you think are the weakest strategists right now?
um, I want to go Adam. Definitely. I'm- I mean, he's, again, so situational to me. I feel like I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't want to. I love all the strategists. For the most part, I don't know. Like, do we rank Mana slow?
Yeah, I was gonna say Manus is. I mean, she had like the nerf to her base health, which was weird, and like
Hmm.
her, you know, again, she kind of thrives in three strategist comps because you get a lot more value out of her damage boosting people than you do her healing people.
Yeah, and so I feel like she kind of ranks under Ultron a little bit too as a result because
Hmm.
she's just like her heals are kind of secondary to what else she can do, and so she kind of like also falls into that category where she maybe works best in a three strategist situation, but not quite as well as Ultron right now after those nerfs. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm on board with that. I hate to because I love my Mantis, but
Yeah,
maybe it's just not her time right now.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think any of them are like pick this character and lose the game. I think all of the strategists
No,
are in spots that they're viable. But if we had to pick a weakest strategist, I think Mantis is probably it right now.
yeah, yeah, I'm on board.
All right, let's talk duelists then. Who do you think are the strongest duelists right now?
I still love my girl Squirrel, the Squirrel Girl. I just like whenever I have those challenges in a battle pass or a bundle where I need a lot of damage, and if I don't have all day to play, I'm gonna like if I need 60k, I'm gonna play maybe two, maybe three on a rough day games of Squirrel Girl, and I'm gonna have that 60k in no time. Like and you don't even have to work for it that much. Like you just kind of hold the trigger and never let it go. So yeah, I've said it before. I'll say it again for Squirrel Girl. I think she's so competitive. She's so movable too. Like she's so mobile. And especially if you're juggling her kind of like her refresh on her cooldowns,
Mhm.
you can just kind of have her all over the place, or you can use it to stick people to the ground, kind of freeze them in place, take them out of play for a second. So and then that ult is still a monster too. So I still love Squirrel Girl. I think Storm definitely in this new
Yeah.
meta with the Jeff NATO. You've kind of got, you can go either way. You can have your water tornado, you can have your fire tornado. And she also kind of works as a strategist in some ways too. So she kind of has that that dual wielding capability where you've got a little bit of both worlds in there to flex with.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Storm, where the flyer meta is so prevalent right now, and she's the strongest of the flyers, in my opinion. And they've been kind of target nerfing the stuff that's been going on with Jeff NATO. They kind of double nerfed it, right? They nerfed the time to consume people with Jeff NATO, but they also just straight up nerfed Storm's ult charge with that sort of mid season patch. And then, but yeah, everything you said about her, I think is absolutely right. And of the other flyers, I think Iron Man is up there as well. And then Star Lord with his buffs that he got in this last patch, I think he's right back up there in strongest duelists in the meta. And because of the flyer meta that we have, I think Punisher becomes another really solid option for DPS, just because with his hit scan abilities, he's able to really play as kind of a counter to that flyer meta.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Hawkeye, though? I feel like I've seen a lot more Hawkeye lately, and
I have, yeah. I mean, if you can play him and you don't have to be in the middle of the action, I think, yeah, definitely. He is kind of situational in some ways too. Like he's definitely, I feel like, more of a backline support character, or sorry, a backline damage character. But like if you can make him work, great. I don't know that he's in my S tier conversation, but he's definitely grown over the
mhm.
past season or so for sure.
And then I mean, and then I think our worst characters are obvious, right? In this category, we got Black Panther and Black Widow are awful right now. Um, I feel like they're so bad that nobody else really gets even close to as bad as they are, right?
Right.
um, Black Widow's still just in desperate need of probably just a complete rework. I think Black Panther probably, even when Dive was meta, he was the least meta of the Dive characters. But I think I've run into some cracked Black Panthers where if like they know how to juggle his marks and land his cooldowns and stuff like that, that they can wreak a lot of havoc. So I think he's probably just some like buffs away from being like I don't think they necessarily need to do a whole lot to his actual kit. Like I think they can just buff him into the meta, but yeah, Black Widow is still just an absolute train wreck of a of a character.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
All right, what about our beloved vanguards? I feel like our vanguards are probably in the best spot they've ever been.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like and I've seen more people willing to play Vanguards in the past few weeks than I have since the game launched for sure. So yeah, it's hard for me to pick. Because I feel like everybody is doing well this season. Like there's no Vanguard I see, and I'm like, oh crap. Um, I want to say, I mean, is Hulk that S tier character right now? Like, is it? I don't feel like it's even changed that much. Like Hulk is kind of come and gone, but like if you can play him well, he's able to be all over the place. He's Roy Kent. Um, your shield tanks, like I haven't seen quite as much Strange here lately, but like Mag, I feel like it's still a constant presence.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's like your Hulks, your Mags, your Groots, your Emmas. Like that's who I'm seeing the most of. That's who I'm seeing has the most impact. And then I mean, honestly, the only weak one like Penny's weak, but she's not even like that terrible. I don't think. Like there's certain situations where she's even pretty viable, and with the team up with Rocket, like she feels pretty good too. Um, the one the one tank I feel like I've seen a lot less of in comparison to other seasons has been Venom.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, he's still I feel like everywhere and a lot of like he's. I don't go a day without seeing him, but yeah, I feel like he hasn't quite been out there as much.
And I think that's probably partly due to just the flyer meta. He doesn't deal quite as well with flyers as a lot of other tanks do. But I mean, Thor's gotten so much love over the last few patches that,
Yeah, I still don't know that he's S, but like I still love me some Thor, and like he is so much smoother to play now than he was just half a season ago. So, and he just seems to be getting better and better.
and I feel like with Cap got this weird attention where it was like he got that big buff going into season 2 with the survivability stuff to where a bunch of people picked him up and started playing him, and then he got the subsequent nerfs to his survivability. But so many people, I think, started realizing like, oh, this is how his kit works, and this is what his play style is, and this is how you get value out of him, that even with the nerfs, people just continue to play him because they realize the value you get from stalling, the value you get from just being in strategists' faces and not allowing them to do their job. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if you're not playing Vanguard in this game right now, I feel like it's in a spot where every single Vanguard on the roster basically is pretty fun to play, even if there's flyers on the map that are fucking annoying to deal with. Just yell at your DPS to do something about it, you know?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I feel like the only one that really can't do anything against fires is Thing. He's pretty low to the ground there, but even then, like you said, if your DPS is doing half their job, they're gonna find some way to flex to be on top of those flyers. We still do need a tank, some flying capabilities with tanks. Like Venom can kind of get up there, but it's hard. Like you can't really aim yourself like and fight in the air. You're kind of just like moving around, and maybe you can time it right to let go and attack a little bit, but you're not constantly attacking
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Hulk and Strange can kind of get up there and do some stuff from time to time, but yeah, we don't have like a consistent presence up in the sky that can kind of create space in the air. So, all right, man. How do you feel? I mean, in comparison to the other seasons we've played, as far as balance goes, not that we have to. Maybe this would be a good topic for another episode, but scale of 1 to 10, where would you put kind of the feeling of balance this season so far?
I feel like, and then this maybe is just me, but I feel like I have to give it to NetEase. I think that the game has just gotten consistently better and better to play. Not counting for toxicity and stuff like that. Like your variables, the things that are totally out of your control, but just the feel of the game. I feel like it just keeps getting smoother. It keeps getting better. Like things just kind of make more sense. And I think Jeff's kind of the perfect example of that. The way that, like, for some reason, he was only able to heal with his primary fire before, when just about every other support player can heal with their primary, at least in some way or another. It just makes sense, right? Now they can damage and heal. So I'm uh, they fixed it. They continue to constantly be vigilant, sometimes maybe even over vigilant. So I've only got, the highest hopes moving forward for kind of how they continue to balance and patch the game. So I'm again, that's one of the reasons I'm still here with it. I'm on board. I'm loving it. I feel like there's the meta, and watching Ignite this past weekend, watching like the pros do their thing. Nobody's doing like just the mirror comps anymore, where everybody, like, you have to have Mag, you have to have your Doctor Strange, you have to have Invis and Cloak and Dagger, Invis and Luna. Like, you've kind of got a little bit of everything, and I think that speaks to how well they're pulling it off right now. Like, everybody's, for the most part, able to kind of have their own unique comp and do what they think might work. And like, some matches you've got pros playing with three supports, some matches you've got just two. And I don't know, like, I think that's awesome. It's there was nothing like, I love the Overwatch League, but it gets a little stale watching just the same six characters going up against each other. And like, those are all day events too, like where you've got streams from sun up to sundown, and you're just watching the same five or six people, depending on which meta it is, just up against each other over and over and over again all day long. So I love this, and it's so great for this game because of the variability and the size of the roster. So keep it up, NetEase. I love you. Pay me money, please.
I did not get a lot of chance to watch Ignite this weekend, and that's something when I'm not driving, when
Yeah.
I'm in the passenger seat, I'm going to be trying to watch more of. But I will say this: I love what they've done with the pick ban system in Rivals now, where it's not universal, where it's team specific, and you're target banning for the other team, and I just think that's great. And it's the reason you're not seeing mirror matchups now, right? Like, because I can ban Mag for the other team, but I still have Mag unless they spend one of their bans on that. And then I can protect for myself and it doesn't protect it for the other team. I think that's brilliant. I love that. It adds a whole layer of strategy to the game that I don't think I've seen in a competitive game. So I love that. I'm very interested to watch more. I just didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to check much out as I've been stuffing shit in boxes.
Mhm.
So, all right, man. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Seth, what are you going to get up to in game this week?
I'm gonna play competitive again one of these days. Like, I think we had a couple games again this past week or so, something like that. It's got to happen. But I'm also not gonna be devastated if it doesn't. Like, we'll talk about it in the hot takes. I'm just so much more happy with quick play right now, and just kind of the vibe that I'm having with the game. No stress, no worries. It's been a blast. What about you?
I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot over the next week. I think tonight and tomorrow are going to be my last opportunities to play for the next week or so as I wait for my stuff to get delivered. So I'm just going to try to knock out as many missions as I can to get. I'm almost done with my battle pass. I think I got like one more page to go. So just finishing that up in the Venom Bubble Pop event. So yeah, but if either of those nights we can play some ranked, I'm totally down because made it to gold now. It's funny, man, because every time we play, we climb. Like it's not a huge deal. Like, but it's just I'm with you. I'm just enjoying quick play a lot more right now. So
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Marvel Rivals. We appreciate, or of Rival Banter, the show about Marvel Rivals. We appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you leave a comment about who you think the strongest characters and the weakest characters are, what you think about the skins, anything else that we talked about in this game. Do you wear flip flops to work? Don't send feet pics, though, please, for the love of God, unless Seth wants them. I don't know. But
And it could be cool.
but all right, guys, we will catch you next week for our hot take show. We're going to get out of here. We love you very much and goodbye.